Welcome back to more Sip the Tally. And we know over the past couple of weeks, we've had Black Monday, which is normally when a bunch of NFL coaches get fired. Well, the hiring cycle has started, and there's really only one opening left. That is the New Orleans Saints. We're going to go through each new coach, give you a little background, and give you some statistical numbers about where their teams have fared, whether they was the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or the head coach. Welcome back to More Sip the Tally. I'm your host, Coach Evans. Let's get started. Let's start with Aaron Glenn. The Jets are bringing back a former franchise star in Glenn, who has risen up the coaching ranks since his playing days ended. Glenn comes over from the Lions, where he led them from 26th in points per possession to 8th in one season, despite having 6 defensive starters on injured reserve. Glenn was drafted by the Jets in 1994 and made 2 of his 3 Pro Bowls with the New York Jets. Looking at his coaching background, 2014, he was the assistant defensive back coach with the Browns, same role in 2015. In 2016, he got his own room with the New Orleans Saints. He was their defensive backs coach 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20. First defensive coordinator job was at Detroit. Got that in 2021. He had that until now, and now he's the head coach of the New York Jets. Taking a look at his defenses as far as the rankings, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the guys' rankings and inform you when they had a top 5 offense or defense or whatever position they coached and whatnot. So as for when you rank Aaron Glenn's defenses, and that's from 2021 to 2024. Let's start with 2024 and see what he was top 5 in with the Detroit Lions. So he was a top 5 rushing defense, top 2 passing defenses when it comes to TDs, and top 5 in interceptions this year. And actually one of his guys led the NFL in interceptions, and that was their free safety. I think it was number 31. When you look at last year, when he did have most of his pieces there, he was top 2 in rushing defense. He was top 3 in yards per attempt as far as rushing. And their passing defense is what was not very good, but they went and drafted some corners, and they got better at that, but then the other guys got hurt. So the Jets are getting Aaron Glenn, and he's done a tremendous job with the Detroit Lions, especially this year after losing all those players. And we'll see what they get with the Jets, having a homegrown guy as their new head coach. All right, the next guy we're going to talk about is the new Chicago Bears head coach, and that's Ben Johnson. The Bears got their quarterback of the future when they selected Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft. Now they have the man to steer the next few years of his career. Johnson has made a name for himself by putting his players in position to succeed, and the Bears desperately need him to do that with this new team that they have, especially after Caleb's up-and-down rookie year. Now, looking at Ben's coaching background, in 2009, he was 23 years old. He was a college assistant, basically a GA at Boston College, and he did that 2009, 2010. 2011, he moved up and got his own room. He was a tight ends coach for BC. That ended his college time. He went to the Miami Dolphins in 2012. He was an offensive assistant, which is basically a GA in the NFL. He was assistant quarterback coach for 2 years. That's basically a GA. Then he moved up to assistant quarterback coach and tight end in 2015. In 2016, he was assistant wide receiver coach. 2017, he was assistant wide receiver coach. 2018, he got his own room finally at the age of 32. He was a wide receivers coach, but that was his last year in Miami. After that, he got hired by Detroit as an offensive quality control guy, a helper. But helpers in the NFL have a huge role, so don't take me saying a helper as a negative thing. They have a huge role, and they have to just name some stuff funny to make it seem like they're minuscule, but offensive quality control has a huge role in what they did offensively. But the next year in 2020, at the age of 34, he got his own room. Tight ends for the Detroit Lions in 2020 and 2021. And then after that, it's kind of crazy that he kind of went this route because Dan Campbell used to be a tight end, and he took his tight end coach and made him the offensive coordinator in 2022. And so he was the offensive coordinator for the Lions for the 2022, 2023, and last year in 2024. And when you look at the rankings of his teams, so he only got a 3-year surface to look at, 2022 through 2024. So you look at win-loss percentage this year, number 1. Points, number 1. Yards, number 2. Offensive points, number 1. The numbers don't lie. TDs, rushing TDs, number 2. Passing yards, number 2. Passing TDs, number 4. The numbers don't lie for Ben. He's been putting them up. Last year, 2nd in win-loss percentage. 3rd in offense, like total offense. 1st in rushing TDs. 5th in rushing yards. 5th in yards per attempt. 2nd in passing yards. 4th in passing TDs. He's been producing ever since he's been a coordinator. That's why he's the new hot name. And he's been mentioned for head coaching jobs for the past 2 years. And I don't remember where I saw or heard this. Might have been Adam Schefter. Said he couldn't go back to Detroit one more time and pass up head coaching jobs because the potential of people to stop calling might have happened if he would have passed up head coaching jobs in this cycle. All right, next up on the list is the Dallas Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer. Now, I don't think a lot of people are happy with this this pick, but after some of the big names were gone, they kind of had to get what they can get, and it probably was best to try to keep the familiarity with the guys and the offense and whatnot, but just have like a different mental approach toward the game as far as, the decisions that have to be made in game and with practice and stuff like that. I do think they lost one of their better coaches in Al, the DB coach, but Schottenheimer's their new head coach, and let's kind of take a look at what he's done in the past in his coaching career. Started in 1997. He was assistant with the St. Louis Rams. 1998, he moved on to the Kansas City Chiefs as an assistant. In 1999, he went back to college and was the wide receivers coach at Syracuse. In 2000, he was the tight ends coach at USC. Moved back to the NFL in 2001 with the Washington Redskins. He was their quarterback coach for 1 year. Then from 2002 to 2005, he was the quarterback coach at San Diego with the Chargers. And 2006, he was the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets, and that lasted for 6 years for the Jets. Then went in 2012, went to the Rams and was their offensive coordinator for 3 years. In 2015, went back to college as the offensive coordinator for Georgia, stayed there 1 year. Next year, he was back in the NFL with the Colts and their quarterback. 2016, 2017, 2018, he was the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, and that lasted for 3 years. 2021, went to the Jaguars. He was their quarterbacks coach, and not sure what PGC is. In the comment section, let me know what PGC is. And then in 2020, he was just a consultant for the Cowboys. Just a consultant. Then I think when Kellen Moore moved on, if I'm not mistaken, he was the offensive coordinator in 2023. And then last year he was the offensive coordinator. And now he's the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. When you look at when he was the offensive coordinator and his teams that had like top 5 rankings. So in 2010, the Jets had a top 5 win-loss percentage. In 2020, Seattle had top 4 in win percentage, and Dallas was the next year was top 2 in win percentage. When you look at offensive yards, Dallas in 2023, they had a top 5 offense. And keep in mind, this year, in Dallas in 2023, Dak was one of the MVP candidates. So keep that in mind. Also in 2023, he had the number 1 offense as far as points. The only time he had a top 5 offense in that. When you look at rushing yards, he had the top rushing offense in 2009 with the Jets. Maybe that's that Curtis Martin era, maybe. I don't know off the top of my head. The next year, he had the top 4 rushing offense. 2018 had the top rushing offense, and I want to say that's beast mode. 2019, he had the top 4 rushing offense as well. And then as far as TDs, 2008 with the Jets, 5th. 2009 with the Jets, 3rd. 2010 with the Jets, he was 9th. I didn't mean to say that. And as far as passing yards, a passing offense. For his TDs, he had a top 5 in 2018. 2019 had 4th. 2020 was 3rd. And then 2023 was 1st. And again, 2023, Dak was one of the MVP candidates. So he's had up and down throughout his coordinating career, but he's the new Dallas head coach, and that's who you have in Brian Schottenheimer. All right, next up, we're going to talk about Liam Cohen, who had I don't want this job. I'm going back to Tampa to sign his extension, then pop up out the blue. Okay, I'll take this Jaguars job. So that's where we are with Liam, and him getting that was kind of shaky, but it is what it is. The Jaguars did what they needed to haul in their top remaining coaching candidate by firing Balky, I think, who was their GM. Cohen coached Baker Mayfield into throwing a career-high 41 touchdown passes, tied for the second most in the league this season in his first year working with the journeyman quarterback. Because last year, the offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay went to Carolina as the head coach. So this is the second straight offensive coordinator that Tampa has lost to be a head coach. Tampa Bay also had a top 5 scoring offense in his sole season with the Bucs, despite Mike Evans missing 3 games. And Jacksonville hopes to see similar results between Cohen and the 2021 with the number 2020. Jacksonville hopes to see similar results between Cohen and the 2021 number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. Looking at Cohen's background in coaching, in 2010, that's when it started up until now as the Browns quarterbacks coach. 2011, Rhode Island's quarterback coach and pass game coordinator. 2012, and 2013 went back to Brown as the quarterbacks coach. So if I'm not mistaken, I know Brown's Ivy League school. I don't remember if Rhode Island is one, but definitely smaller schools. 2014, UMass, quarterbacks coach, passing game coordinator. 2016, went to Maine as the offensive coordinator. 2018, got his first shot in the NFL at 33, assistant wide receivers coach with the Rams. In 2021, he went back to college, to Kentucky as the offensive coordinator. 2022, he went back to the Rams as the offensive coordinator. Then he went back to Kentucky in 2023 as the offensive coordinator. And then last year he ended up in Tampa Bay as the Bucs offensive coordinator. So over a period of 4 years, he went from Rams to Kentucky, then Tampa Bay. And now he's the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And in his 2 seasons as coordinators in 2022 as the Rams offensive coordinator and last year as Tampa Bay's offensive coordinator, he had a top 5 offense and yardage. Points per game, he was 4th last year. Yards, rushing yards, he was 4th. And he had 3 good runners too last year. 3 good runners. Passing yards, he was 3rd. Passing TDs, they were 2nd. And so they've been successful. Well, they were successful last year under him. As far as when he was with the Rams, everything was pretty much average. You see a lot of 20s, a few 30s, nothing above 16. Nothing above 16. So, I guess you can take it as he learned. He had, his time with the Rams was a learning experience. And then he came back and applied that this year with the Buccaneers and was very successful. And now he's parlayed that into a head coach job. So that's your new head coach, Jacksonville Jaguars, Liam Cohen. So next up, we're going to talk Mike Vrabel. Now, I'll just keep that to myself. Vrabel and the Patriots are quite familiar with one another, with the former linebacker winning 3 Super Bowls with the franchise. He was looked at as a favorite immediately after the firing of Mayo. So this result isn't totally surprising, which is kind of where I was headed with my thought before I paused. The former NFL coach of the year is expected to bring a buttoned-up operation to New England and bring them back to their glory days they had and actually be a tough-minded team like Vrabel had when he was at Tennessee Titans. You remember at one point, Mayo called his guys soft, and, Belichick took offense to it. I don't know if that kind of helped show him the door, but, it is what it is. But Vrabel is one of the few guys on this list that has had previous head coaching experience. But in 2011, he started his coaching career at 36 after a stellar playing career and a bunch of Super Bowls. So, don't want to pass that up because Vrabel's a great player. Got a bunch of touchdown catches too as a linebacker. But at 36, he started coaching linebackers at Ohio State. Next year, he moved to the defensive line at Ohio State. And at 39, in 2014, he got his first NFL job as the linebackers coach of the Houston Texans. Did that for 3 years. In 2017, he was the Texans' defensive coordinator. Parlayed that to a head coaching job with the Tennessee Titans. So he was a Tennessee Titans coach from 2018 to 2023. Then last year, he was a consultant with the Cleveland Browns. And this year, he's now the head coach of the New England Patriots going into the 2024 season. Just look at the rankings. And keep in mind, some of his rankings will be because he was the head coach. But top five turnover margin. He was number 1 in 2020 with the Titans. Offensive yards, they were second that year. Also in points, they were 4th. Rushing yards, they were 2nd. If I'm not mistaken, that might have been Derrick Henry's 2,000-yard year. Maybe. I'm not sure off the top of my head. That might have been Derrick Henry's 2,000-yard year. But they was number 2 in rushing touchdowns, number 2 in yards per attempts per rush. Now, the passing offense was 2nd in interceptions, but it wasn't a lot to – they basically just control the ball, get the ball to Derrick Henry. Defense has been solid over the course of his time. He had the number 1 defense as far as rushing yards per attempt and rushing yards in 2022 with Tennessee, and that's mainly because of Jeffrey Simmons. He picked up and put him in the middle. He kind of shut a lot of stuff down. But Vrabel is one of the few guys on this list that has been a head coach. I think he was on the minds of New England ever since they got rid of their legendary Bill Belichick. So, yeah, I think Mayo was just a one-year thing. I think this was always going to happen. And I just leave it there. And it is what it is. There's no shade there. It's just what I think is fact. But Vrabel's your new head coach at New England, and probably going to do a good job there. I think he's going to do a good job there, especially being, I ain't going to say homegrown, but he got a lot of great memories in New England as a player, and he'll get a lot more support than Mayo probably would have ever gotten. Which leads us to our last guy. And I had to enlarge this because his track record is so long. This guy's coaching record starts before I was even born. And I'm an older guy. I'm an older guy in these YouTube spaces. His coaching record starts before I was born. So we're not going to even go through his ranks. We're just going to give you his coaching background and let you Raiders fans know who you got as an offensive coach. 1973 through 1976. I'm still not born. He was a graduate assistant at Pacific College. 1977, one of the greatest years ever. He was a graduate assistant, a GA, still, at Arkansas. 1978, secondary coordinator at Iowa State. Same role the next year in 1979 at Ohio State. 1980, he was defensive coordinator at North Carolina State for 3 years. Then he went back to Pacific. I'm sorry, not Pacific. He went back to Pacific in 1980. Man, that was funny. In 1983 as the offensive coordinator. So he got to the NFL in 1984 at 33 years old. The defensive backs coach for the Bills. Then at 34, which was the next year, for the next 5 years, he was the defensive back coach for the Vikings. At 39, he became the defensive coordinator of the Jets in 1990. For the next 4 years, he was the defensive coordinator for the New York Jets. They gave him the head coaching job for 1 year in 1994. I don't remember what happened in that year that he was the head coach, but 1 year. That don't happen a lot, but Pete Carroll had 1 year as the head coach then. So at 44, he was the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers in 1995 and 1996. In 1997, he became the New England Patriots head coach after a successful stint with the 49ers, and he was the Patriots head coach for 3 years. from 1997 to 1999. All right, I got to keep scrolling now because this is long. This is just half of it. This is just half of it. In 2001, he went to USC as the head coach, and that's where he kind of left a huge mark. So from 2001, and Pete has a second page, just in case y'all wondering. Pete has a second page. From 2001 to 2009, he was the head coach at USC. Successful run. Very successful run as a head coach at USC. Then he went to Seattle in 2010, and he was the head coach of Seattle from 2010 up until recently in 2023. So that's 13 years, approximately 13, 14 years. And we know he got Super Bowls there with Russell Wilson and Beast Mode and the leader of the Legion of Boom with all those great DBs they had, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean, not Bam Bam Bigelow, Bam Bam Cam, and some other guys. And Browner, I think, is the other guy. So, Raiders, you have a proven guy, like a proven winner. You won the Super Bowl in 2013. Was also the NFC champions that next year. Should have gave the ball to Beast Mode, though. But still, the Raiders, that's who you have as your new head coach. So, if I'm the Raiders, this is what I do. Not only have I hired Pete, I'm also going to hire my next head coach as well and let him work under Pete and see how that goes. Because the trend is a lot of these owners are going to younger coaches. So like some of these guys on this list, I gave you their resume, Pete probably doubles them in age. So I'm thinking Pete's 73 now. Ben Johnson is, Liam Cohen is 39. Aaron Glenn's 52, so that's kind of a difference maker. Brian Schottenheimer's 51. Ben Johnson's 38. Vrabel's 49. So, like, some of these babies, like Pete, I think Pete is almost doubled Sean McVay's age. To just tell you how long Pete been around. And again, his career started before I was even born, so that tells you a lot right there. But this is the guys for the new coaching cycle. The Saints still have an opening, but they haven't filled it yet. So we'll see what the Saints do, and we'll try to, add that to a video later on in the week or whenever the Saints hire somebody, and we'll see who they got, and we'll look at their record too. So I appreciate you guys for coming out, man. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. So if you like this video, please like the video. If you have not subscribed, please hit the button and hit the bell so you can do that. Start over. So if you like the video, like the video. And if you've not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified when the rest of these videos drop for the 2025 end of the season. Because we still got, 2024 end of the season. Because we still have the Pro Bowl and Super Bowl left. And then the 2025 off season. So I appreciate y'all, man. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace and love.